of all, I will discuss about the matter. What is matter? So we all know that the matter is defined as anything which has a mass and occupies some space. Matter exists in four forms, which are solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. What is heat? Heat is a form of energy. It derives its origin at the molecular scale, and the molecules of a substances vibrate at their position, either fixed or not. When energy is supplied to them as they vibrate, they transfer their energy to the surrounding molecules, causing them to as the kinetic energy builds up on a macro level as more energy is supplied to these molecules of the substances. As a result, when this energy reaches a threshold, that is a melting point, boiling point, due to the molecules or atoms, the free themselves from interatomic forces of attraction, and the conversion of a state, that is the phase change, takes place. So the heat transfer of a body can also be defined as a form of energy that can be transferred from one body to the other or within the body itself with a temperature difference, and can be generated by a body at the expense of other form of energy. The SI unit of heat energy is joule, that is abbreviated as J, and in CGS system, however, it is measured in calories, where 1 calorie is equals to 4.186 joule. Next, I will discuss about what is temperature. The temperature of a body is a measure of the amount of heat content possessed by it, and it is measured in degrees Celsius or Kelvin. The temperature of a substance is a physical quantity that measures the degree of hotness or coldness of a body. So the thermal properties of matter, the properties of matter involving the heat transfer and the measurement are known as the thermal properties of matter. So the heat transfer can be transferred from one body to the other, or from one location in the body to the other. The study of techniques and methods adopted to transfer heat is known as the heat transfer. To facilitate the heat transfer between two bodies, there need to be a temperature difference between them, and this means that these bodies must be two different temperatures, one higher than the other, and to allow the heat to flow from one body to the other. So this means that no heat transfer occurs between two bodies which are at the same temperature, and at the same time it is very important to note that the heat only flows from a body at a higher temperature to a body to a lower temperature. Although this may look obvious, this law is very important from the point of view of thermodynamics. So this is the general introduction of the heat transfer. Next, I will discuss about the heat. Heat is a form of energy which passes from a body at a higher temperature to a body at a lower temperature. Heat is also defined in physics as a transfer of thermal energy across a well-defined boundary around a thermodynamic system. When the overall driving force for this heat transfer is the temperature difference, and when the driving force becomes negligible, then the transfer will cease to occur, and the system will reach equilibrium. Heat cannot be measured directly by an instrument as temperature is by a thermometer. So, the heat transfer, the exchange of kinetic energy of particles through the boundary between two systems which are at different temperature from each other or from their surroundings. heat transfer always occur from a region of high temperature to another region of lower temperature. Heat transfer changes the internal energy of both systems involved according to the first law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics defines the concept of thermodynamic entropy by measurable heat transfer, and the thermal equilibrium is reached when all involved bodies and the surroundings reach the same temperature. Thermal expansion is a tendency of matter to change in volume in response to a change in temperature. Examples of heat transfer. A good example would be the heating a tin can of water using a Bunsen burner, and initially the flame produces radiation which heats the tin can, and this tin can then transfer heat to the water through convection. The hot water then rises to the top and in the convection process, and the atmosphere would be another example. The atmosphere is heated by radiation from the sun, and this atmosphere exhibits convection as hot air near the equator rises, producing winds, and finally there is a conduction between air molecules and the small molecules of air land conduction. Next is a mode of heat transfer. Heat can travel through a medium and also through vacuum. So there are three modes of heat transfer. One is conduction, second one is convection, and the third one is radiation. So the mechanism of heat transfer, it is also the mechanism is also based on the three parts like convection, conduction, and radiation. So the mechanism of heat transfer, there are two mechanisms, like by intermolecular interaction and by drift of free electrons. So the first one, if we discuss about the first one, so the first one is the conduction. The conduction, if we discuss about the conduction, so conduction, we can say that the conduction occurs when two objects at different temperatures are in contact with each other. Heat flows from the warmer to the cooler object until they are both at the same temperature, and the conduction is the movement of heat through a substance by the collision of molecules. At the place where the two objects touch, the faster moving molecules of the warmer object collide with the slower moving molecules of the cooler object. As they collide, the faster molecules give up some of their energy to the slower molecules, and the slower molecules gain more thermal energy and collide with other molecules in the cooler object. This gain more thermal energy and collide with other molecules in the cooler object. This process continues until the heat energy from the warmer object spreads throughout the cooler object. Some substances conduct heat more easily than others, and solids are better conductor than liquids, and liquids are better conductor than gases. Metals are very good conductor of heat, while air is very poor conductor of heat. You experience heat transfer by conduction whenever you touch something that is hotter or cooler than your skin. Example, when you wash your hands in warm or cold water. Conduction, the transfer of thermal energy between neighboring molecule in a substance due to the temperature gradient. It always takes place from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature and acts to equalize the temperature difference. It can take place in all four of matters, that is a solid, liquid, and gases, but does not require any bulk motion of matter. In solids, it is due to transfer of vibrational energy between molecules, and in gases and liquids, it is due to the collision of molecules during their random motion. So this is the conduction. Next one is the radiation. The energy is radiated from all materials in the form of electromagnetic radiation. The radiation is also described as a flow of heat from one place to another by means of electromagnetic waves. All bodies absorb and emit radiations. No medium is required between two bodies for heat transfer to take place. Heat transfer through vacuum is called the thermal radiation, and radioactive heat transfer can be mathematically expressed with the Stephens Boltzmann law, that is a Q is equals to alpha A T to the power 4, where Q is a heat transfer per unit time, and alpha is the Stephen Boltzmann constant, and A is the area of emitting body, and T is the absolute temperature. So the radiation, both conduction and convection, require matter to transfer heat, and the radiation is a method of heat transfer that does not rely upon any contact between the heat source and the heated object. For example, we feel heat from the sun even though we are not touching it. Heat can be transmitted through empty space by thermal radiation. The thermal radiation, often called the infrared radiation, is a type of electromagnetic radiation, and radiation is a form of energy transport consisting of the electromagnetic waves traveling at the speed of light. No mass is exchanged and no medium is required. Objects emit radiation when high energy electron in a higher atomic level fall down to lower energy levels. The energy lost is emitted as light or electromagnetic radiation. Energy that is absorbed by an atom causes its electron to jump up to the higher energy levels. All objects absorb and emit radiations. When the absorption of energy balances the emission of energy, the temperature of an object stays constant. This is the radiations, and the next one is a convection. Convection in liquid and gases. Convection is usually the most efficient way to transfer heat. Convection occurs when warmer areas of liquid or gases rise to a cooler areas in the liquid gas. As this happens, the cooler liquid or gas takes the place of the warmer areas which have risen higher. This cycle results in a continuous circulation pattern, and heat is transferred to cooler areas. You see the convection when you boil water in a pan. The bubbles of water that rise are the hotter part of the water rising to the cooler areas of water at the top of the pan. You have probably heard the expression like hot air rises hot air rises and cool air falls to take its place. This is a description of convection in our atmosphere. So, convection, the movement of molecules within fluids. In reality, this is a combination of diffusion and bulk motion of the molecules. Because it occurs at macroscopic level, it is therefore confined to gases and liquids, and molecules in fluids are further apart and have negligible cohesive force. Convection currents are set up much faster in gases than in liquids because of the extremely low cohesive forces existing between the molecules of the gases. Convection can be of two types, that is the natural convection and the forced convection. So natural convection occurs when temperature gradient in the system generates localized density difference which result in flow currents, and the force circulation, the flow currents are set in motion by an external agent such as the stirrer or pump. So these are the types of convection. Next, the applications of the heat transfer process. So it is applied or it is used for the evaporation process, distillation, drying, crystallization, and sterilization process. For evaporation, heat is supplied in order to convert a liquid into vapor, and for distillation, heat is supplied to the liquid mixture for the separation of individual vapor component, and for drying the wet granules, and for crystallization, it is used as a saturated solution that is heated to bring out the supersaturation, which promotes the crystallization of drugs. For sterilization, the autoclaves are used with steam as a heating medium, and heat transfer is required for refrigeration. So these are the simple applications of the heat transfer. The other applications are the mechanical engineering. Boilers, heat exchangers, turbine system, internal combustion engines are used. And for metallurgical engineering, the furnaces, heat treatment of components, etc. are used. And for electrical engineering, the cooling system for electric motors, generators, and transformers are used. In chemical engineering, the process equipments that is used in refineries, chemical plants, etc. And for nuclear energies, in the removal of heat generated by nuclear fission, using the liquid metal colorants, design of nuclear fuel rod against the possible burnout, etc. And in aerospace engineering and space technology, in the design of aircraft system and components, rockets, missiles, etc. Cryogenic engineering in the production, storage, transportation, and utilization of a cryogenic liquid at very low temperatures ranging from 100 Kelvin to 4 Kelvin or even lower, for various industrial research and defense applications. Civil engineering in the design of suspension, bridges, railway tracks, air conditioning, and insulation of buildings, etc. The physical mechanism that I have told previously, the physical mechanism, the heat transfer mechanism is based on two types, like the molecular interaction and the by drift of free electrons. So molecular interaction, on taking heat, the molecules remain stationary but they vibrate in their lattice, which imparts energy on neighboring particles in the direction of low temperature, and hence conduction take place. By the drift of free electrons, in case of metals, they have more free electrons which moves and collides with other electrons on supplying heat energy, thus causes the heat transfer. Fourier's law, the heat flux is proportionated to the temperature gradient. If we consider a case of heat transfer through the wall by the process of conduction, then the rate of heat conduction is given by equation like delta Q is equals to minus Ka dot dt by dx, where the delta Q is the rate of heat transfer and K is the thermal conductivity of the wall. A is a surface area perpendicular to the direction of heat flow, and dt by dx is the temperature gradient. The negative sign indicates that the heat always flows from hot to cold areas. So there is an equation to like qa is equals to q, or it is equivalent to minus k delta t, where k is a thermal conductivity or a measure of how fast heat flows through a material, where minus k or t, but we usually use a value at the average temperature. Q can have x, y and z components. It's a vector quantity, and in most practical situations the conduction, convection and radiation appear in combination. You can also see that the cross sectional area, where another expression or equation like q is equals to ka delta t upon l, that is multiplied by t, where q is the heat transferred, k is the thermal conductivity, a is the cross sectional area, and delta t is temperature. Temperature between and L is the length and T is the duration of heat transfer. Next, so these are the Fourier's law. Fourier law is also done by the conduction. The Fourier law, the heat flux is directly proportional to the temperature gradient, where Q is directly proportional to dt by dx. If we replace the proportional with the equal sign, so minus k is added in the equation, so the equation will be becomes q is equals to minus k dt by dx. So k is equals to thermal conductivity of material, and q, if we take q is equals to q by a, so q is equals to minus ka dt by dx, and q is equals to minus ka dt by dr. R is the radius of the circle if we take an cylindrical apparatus. The use next, the heat interchanges. The heat interchanges are the devices used for transferring heat from one liquid to another or one gas to another gas through a metal wall. The use of heat interchanges, either as an aid to performance or a solution to a problem, has been custom and practice in the commercial refrigeration industry for many years, often with virtually no consideration of both theoretical or practical concept. They can be found applied in refrigerant system in many different ways for many different reasons. The most common application and original concept is to install the heat interchanges adjacent to the evaporator and thermostatic expansion valve. Heat exchanger is a heat transfer device that exchanger. Virtually all refrigerator system will benefit from a heat interchangers, providing it is not undersized so that the suction side pressure drop nullifies the advantages, or on lower temperature application is oversized so that the suction superheat, and consequently the discharge temperature is too high. So this is the general introduction of heat interchanges. The type of heat interchanges, that is it is classified into two types, that is liquid to liquid interchanges and double pipe heat interchanges. So the first one is the liquid to liquid interchanges. The shell has a provision for introducing the heating medium, hot fluid, and the outlet for the fluid is at right side top. On each side of tube, the two distributional chambers are provided. Left side chamber contains an inlet for the fluid to be heated, and the outlet for the hot fluid that is the heated that is in this the heat is provided as the center of the right side distribution chamber. Double pipe heat interchanges in a liquid liquid to liquid heat interchanges. The fluid to be heated is passed only once through the tube before it gets discharged. That is the single pass, and the heat transfer in this case is not efficient. When few tubes per pass is desirable, the double pipe heat exchanger is employed. Heat exchangers, it is a heat transfer device that exchanges heat between the two or more processes fluids. It is used to exchange heat between the two fluids of different temperature which are separated by solid wall. So heat exchanger is a heat transfer device that exchanges heat between two or more process fluids, and heat exchangers have widespread industrial and domestic applications. Extensive technical literature is available on heat exchangers, but it is widely scattered throughout the technical journals, industrial bulletins, codes, and standards. A heat exchanger is used to exchange heat between two fluids of different temperatures which are separated by a solid wall, and heat exchangers are very important to energy conversion and utilization. They encompasses a wide range of flow configurations. Application in heating and air conditioning, the power production, waste heat recovery, chemical processing, food processing, sterilization in bioprocesses. Heat exchangers are classified according to the flow arrangement and type of constructions. They are devices specifically designed for the efficient transfer of heat from one fluid to another fluid over a solid surface. Heat exchanger, this is a simple diagram of a heat exchanger which contains the hotter part and the cooler part. Types of heat exchangers, it is classified into three types like double pipe heat exchanger, shell and tube heat exchanger, plate heat exchanger. So the first one is the double pipe heat exchanger. Double pipe heat exchanger are the simplest exchangers used in industries. On one hand, these heat exchangers are cheap for both design and maintenance, making them a good choice for small industries, but on the other hand, low efficiency of them beside high space occupied for such exchangers in large scales has led modern industries to use more efficient heat exchangers like a shell and tube or other ones. But yet, since double pipe heat exchangers are simple, they are used to treat heat exchanger design basic to students, and as a basic rule for modern and normal heat exchangers are the same. Students can understand the design technique much easier. To start the design of a double pipe heat exchanger, the first step is to calculate the heat duty of the heat exchanger. Next one is a shell and tube heat exchanger. The shell and tube heat exchanger consists of a series of tubes. One set of these tubes contain the fluid that must be either heated or cooled. The second fluid runs over the tubes that are being heated or cooled so that it can either provide the heat or absorb the heat required. A set of tube is called the tube bundle and can be made up of the several type of tubes, plain, longitudinally, fine, etc. Shell and tube heat exchangers are typically used for high pressure applications. with a pressure greater than 30 bar and temperature greater than 260 degrees centigrade. This is because shell and tube heat exchangers are robust due to their shape. The next one is a plate heat exchanger. Another type of heat exchanger is a plate heat exchanger. One is composed of multiple thin, slightly separated plates that have very large surface area and fluid flow passages for heat transfer. The stacked plate arrangement can be more effective in a given space than the shell and tube exchanger. Next, the classification of heat exchangers in general. The industrial heat exchangers have been classified according to the construction, the transfer process, the degree of surface compactness, the flow of arrangement, the pass arrangement, the phases of process fluid, and the heat transfer mechanism. So the first is the transfer process. It is of two type, the indirect heat transfer and the direct transfer heat exchangers. The indirect contact heat exchangers. In an indirect contact heat exchangers, the fluid streams remain separate and the heat transfer takes place continuously through a dividing impervious wall. This type of heat exchanger can be further classified into direct transfer type, storage type, and fluidized bed exchangers. Second one is the direct transfer heat exchangers. In this type, there is a continuous flow of the heat from the hot fluid to the cold fluid through a rotating ball, and this no direct mix of fluid. Each fluid flows in a separate fluid passages and there are no moving parts. This type of exchanger is designated as recuperator. Next one is the direct contact type heat exchanger. In direct contact type heat exchanger, the two fluids are not separated by a wall. Owing to the absence of a wall, closer temperature approaches are attained. Next one is the flow arrangement. It is classified into three types, that is the parallel flow exchanger, counter flow exchanger, and cross flow exchanger. So the parallel flow exchanger, in this type both the fluid streams enter at the same end and flow parallel to each other in the same direction and leave at the other end. Fluid temperature variation idealized as one dimensional, and this arrangement has the lowest exchanger effectiveness among the single pass exchangers for the same flow rates, capacity rates, ratio, and surface area. Second one is the counter flow exchanger. In this type, the two fluids flow parallel to each other but in opposite direction, and its temperature distribution may be idealized as one dimensional. Ideally, this is the most efficient of all flow arrangement for single pass arrangement under the same parameters. The third one is in this type the two fluid flow normal to each other. An important type of flow arrangement combinations for a single pass cross flow exchanger include both fluid unmixed, one fluid unmixed and the other fluid mixed, and the last one is the both fluid mixed. Next, the components of heat exchangers. Several thermal design features must be considered when designing the tube in the shell and tube heat exchanger. So it is classified according to the tube diameter, tube thickness, tube length, tube pitch, tube corrugation, and tube layout. Materials of heat exchangers, the materials that are used in the heat exchangers. So the first one is a tubes. Heat exchangers with a shell diameter of 10 inches to more than 100 are typically manufactured to industrial standards. Tube sheets usually constructed from a round flattened sheet of metal, and holes for the tube ends are teen drilled for the tube end in a pattern relative to each other. Next, the shell assembly. The shell is constructed either from pipe or rolled plate metal. For economic reason, steel is a most commonly used material, and when application involving extreme temperature and corrosion resistant, other metals or alloys are specified. Next one is a bonnets and end channels. Bonnets and end channels regulate the flow of fluid in the tube side circuit. They are typically fabricated on cast. Next one, the baffles. The baffle function in two ways. During assembly, they function as a tube guides, and in operation, they prevent the vibration from flow induced eddies. Next one is a troubleshooting of heat exchangers. It is stressful when exchangers go online and don't perform as they should. But not all scary things go bump in the night. Heat exchangers that go on stream and don't perform are also scary. This is especially true if there is a lack of thermal wells, pressure gases, and flow meters. Informational collections, beside the obvious process information of flow, temperature, and pressure drops, you will probably need the manufacturer's heat exchanger drawings. And the next one is the falling. If there is a gradual decline in the heat transfer, the falling may be the culprit. Heat exchanger software can give the available falling as compared to the design falling. Debris, check to see if there is a strainer in the piping ahead of the inlet nozzle. If there is no strainer, there may be debris in the exchanger. The excess surface problems in this design, in the design stage, the clean condition may not have been evaluated. Many exchangers are designed for fault condition only. The next one is the venting. The proper venting is a startup necessity. Important venting usually occur on startup and is recognized by poor heat transfer and a high pressure drop. The field mistakes: in one instant a heat exchanger was piped up backward, and the fluid that should have been on the shells eddy was piped to the channel side and vice versa. So this is all about the